the 1967 fnordic origins for the 1776 Illuminati myth that isn't from then. 1687, Principia Mathematica, a work by Isaac Newton, is the inspiration for a title of a book and other things. And continuing. 1776, Enlightenment era all over the planet. Look up what that was. I'll include a link to a Wikipedia article for you quickly. German intellectuals began to oppose influence in their daily lives that was not something they could choose, nor vote for, nor banish. This influence and interference in their lives by the elites was something they were opposing. This, of course, was an activity that was outlawed by a secret Christian conservative organization in Bavaria. Now let's move forward. 1963, very much forward. Principia Discordia, an irreligious or non-religious parody of faith-based politics and Christian in name only, like Republican in name only and Democrat in name only, Rhino Dino. It's a Xeroxed type and written work filled with reused seals, clip arts, and stamps. And one of its principal concepts that you can break down in a fairly short way is this. Due to the world becoming authoritarian, tight, closed, and controlled by individuals you can't remove from office and are immune from the law, we must force ourselves to question the parameters of reality and bring social change. One of the methods, idealistically, in theory, is disseminating contradictory misinformation, since if you give enough contrary points of view on a story, the population at large could or should start looking at these things and ask themselves, can I trust how information is presented to me? Or if the information has a bias, or if the information, in this case, was produced by the people creating the pro and con statements. Now we call that botting or sock puppeting. So how did they do it? Well, they decided to go ahead and do so in reality by spreading and disseminating and reinforcing contradictory misinformation by making fake statements for and fake statements against the existence of what they settled on doing as an experiment. A secret elite organization named for a now dead group that if you actually looked it up, you'd find out that they were the reason the United States became a country. They decided to name it after the Illuminati because it was the least known progressive, anti-authoritarian, anti-church running your government group they could come up with. Yeah, that worked really well. Getting people to wake up to the suggested realities that they inhabit and question these suggestions of reality. 1967, the Summer of Love, counterculture, Eastern philosophy, LSD hippie types gave rise to civil disobedience, and also civil disobedience that was plausible deniable by doing practical jokes and hoaxes. Does anybody remember when 4chan got Fox News to literally say on the air, we are legion, we do not forgive, we do not forget, expect us. We're behind 7 proxies. There's this whole thing they did where they tricked national news, at the time, Fox News, into repeating a shit post on 4chan. Hackers on steroids. Go look it up. I'll include a link below, but really read it. This is your homework assignment if you're in our WAPTEX Fight Club. 1975, the Illuminatus Trilogy was a satirical science fiction book written by Robert Shea and Robert Anton Wilson that just ran with this. Force individuals to question the parameters of reality, bring about social change, all through experimentally exposing them to what we would consider now, and I'll just stop reading the page, a variation on creating an alternate reality game based on one group of people propagandizing something that doesn't exist and another group propagandizing opposing its existence. The very existence of a subject, which was false, but technically existed hundreds of years before, being argued back and forth by people who acted like they were fervently believers of this when they weren't in, again, the 1960s counterculture. Doing this, also called social engineering, culture hacking. There's 100 names for it. What's more effective? I tell you, I'm running Windows 7 with a bunch of patches on it, and I simply turn off all the telemetry in the computer so that my computer can't be hacked by the people who wrote any of the software, and I just keep applying patches manually to make it to where the computer doesn't break itself because they decide to brick my computer. You can't break it if you can't brick it. Versus me claiming let me come up with your Roomba or other utilitarian device like refrigerators spying on you and serving you ads and keeping a backup copy of all the audio and video data because it has a camera and a microphone in it. That one's shorter. You can put it on you literally fit it on a business card as a meme, right? The first one is actually what I do with the computer. The second one is literally fucking happening because that really is happening. I was going to do a video on this, but not going to bother. Everybody already knows about it. Every piece of equipment you have that's on a subscription service or is labeled a smart device or an Internet of Things, IoT, or if it requires you hook it up to an app, every one of them, if you look hard enough, you have an over 60%, I thought it was lower, over 60% chance of finding a camera, low resolution or not, a cheap camera, can be high res, and a microphone that's constantly recording everything you say and do and converting it to text if possible, and images are being snapshotted whenever there's a change in the room, and it will monitor temperature and everything else it can to send data back because data brokers want raw data to feed to corporations that are hungry for it, AI, whatever, and it's the highest bidder. That includes the police and the federal government, and it isn't limited to the one in your country. It can be all of them because it is. That's a very complicated thing to say, or just say your Roomba records you, video and audio records you, and sends it back to the company. Both of those statements are the same, but one's shorter. You can fit it on a bumper sticker. It's a thought-destroying cliche. I don't use the proper term. I'll include a link to that. But the point is, this was an experiment in creating a completely safe, isolated, alternate reality game of it, of people saying there is an Illuminati and there isn't an Illuminati, and both were screaming it at the same time and watching what people do as an experiment in critical thinking. And now you have people literally threatening people online, and has been going on for years now, and in person back then, who have lost their fucking marbles and threaten people by saying, you did this in a video during Super Bowl. When you look at the actual unaltered image, it's somebody doing one of these saying, I love you all. Illuminati symbology is bullshit. The Bavarian Illuminati, a.k.a. the German elitists or anti-elitist intellectuals, these were intellectuals that were against elitism, which was happening everywhere, were against literally Bavarian society, Germany, and Germanic groups letting religion dictate politics and dictate public policy and being perniciously inserting themselves in every part of daily life. And yes, the Christian conservative or religion as politics or politics-based religion or religion-based politics groups didn't like it. A religion cannot be voted out of office, and you can't impeach it because they claim God told them to do it. What's worse? I was following orders, but it's Hitler, versus God told me to do it, and they do the same shit for centuries. Oh no, that's not that can't be because and then you thought destroying cliches pop up in your head. You're all a bunch of meme typers, right? I don't need any commentary. I need people to read this shit. Now, I'm including an archive that ends in IHM4. That's what it did randomly. And it links to a BBC article on one person's quest to dig out where the story of the Illuminati came from and what year. It's not like you can do Google Trends back into the 60s and 50s. But it started 1963 forward. And if I could go back in time, I'd say, don't call it that. Name it something else, like the fnordic origins of the elites. Look up fnord. So anyway, and by the way, yes, there's a computer equivalent to that. You're soaking in it. So anyway, the Illuminatus Trilogy, recommended reading. Again, it's satire. This is an alternate reality game that didn't start on the internet. It started in the form of literally photocopied shit and countercultural shit in the 1960s, early 1960s. And we are now in 2025. It got out of hand, but again, it was about deliberately creating propaganda stuff, so most people should have been able to recognize it as such, arguing for and against something that didn't exist because that should be completely harmless. Meanwhile, every time you look this up, you get a Wikipedia article link that's embedded in your video, and you can get flagged for discussing it. Wrongthink. Ministry of Truth. 1984 all over again. Every fucking few years. So look up Discordianism, which technically on paper doesn't have an origin story, sort of like Charo doesn't have a birth year. Principia Discordia, Fnord, Summer of Love, the Illuminatus Trilogy, and, there's also a video. The video with the highest ranking, debunking the subject, is a comedy skit done by a guy with a somewhat problematic YouTube channel name. Don't take it too seriously. Try to be healthy about it. Next, there is no actual Illuminati. That's it. That's the end of the video right there. It literally doesn't exist. And even when it did, as I said, they made it against the law. The Bavarian secret group wasn't the Illuminati. It was the Christian conservatives they were going against. Yet again, same as it always was. And they weren't outlawed. They were hunted down and murdered. Period, full stop, they were murdered. Enough of them were murdered, they shut up. Which is exactly the shit you would assume. And again, like always, it was never the Illuminati. Rip off the house. Oh, it was him. All along, it wasn't the ghosty Illuminati or whatever. And it's Donald Trump, orange face. Yeah, no, I got away with it if you fuckers didn't point out that I did literally everything that is said. When do we get our FEMA trains with our FEMA camps and our FEMA coffins and our FEMA guillotines, but it's Donald Trump doing it, and all of you have to sit there and turn the other way? If you predict the end of the world long enough, someone's going to write down what you said and fucking emulate it. You're soaking in it. Bringing about societal change by getting people to question the parameters of the reality and question how they get their information. 1963? Or all of you right now watching the video? Kind of fucking spooky how an alternate reality game from 1963 forward has had this effect. And all they did was use the namesake from the 1776 occurrence of people doing the same thing as freeing, like we did here, freeing America from external influence. And again, and again, and again. It's some conservative, read wannabe Nazi group that wants power, some church, in this case Christian, and in our country it's still something like Christian, demanding to have power over everybody and telling you some gaslight story instead of admitting it, including finding out whatever group wants to oppose their evil plans and then demonizing them. If you're watching this and you're hyper-conservative, have you ever considered that maybe the devil won't tell you he's the devil, he'll tell you he's God or Jesus? Did any of you understand that that was literally predicted in the goddamn Bible? And in the Quran, and in Hindu works, etc., over and over again, same as it ever was? Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with that. You'll need it.